Hello again. Today we are going to be covering all of the new features with regard to the module editor and slide editor that are available for you to create even more customized information on your trainings. So we're going to cover as much as we can today. Let's go ahead and log in. Now again, remember when you first log in, you'll come to your accounts page if you're the account admin. Otherwise, you'll just come to your offices page if you have multiple offices on your account. Again, if you do have multiple offices, you can see them on the right under My Offices. On the left, you'll see your accounts. If you do have multiple offices, you'll want to, and you want to make changes that in your training that will go to all offices, you'll want to make those changes at the account level. However, if you just want to make changes to a training for a specific office, then you can go under that specific office and make the changes on the training at that level. So in this case, we're going to work at the account level, but just know you can be doing these at the office level as well. When you first log in at the account level, you always default to your modules. Again, you'll see the red setup. Now the red setup is the link to the setup wizard, which is very similar to the survey questions that many of our clients were familiar with in the past. When you do click on the setup wizard, it brings up the wizard in a box, in a window here. You'll see the slide to the left, and then it asks you a question up here in red. In this case, it says, please provide your unplanned time off policy. So from here, you can go ahead and, this is our unplanned time off policy. More information, please contact Susie for questions. So you can see, you can type in whatever you'd like here, save that information, and then over here on the left, if you scroll down, it always defaults at the bottom of the slide, so you can see it's got the information down here. If you need to make any changes, a little typo or something, or add additional information, you can do that, and then it saves it. You can view it. Once it looks good, you can go ahead and hit continue and move on to the next question. Now if you do, let's say for example this slide is irrelevant, you don't want to have this slide appear in your training. If you choose to do that, you can hide it, but if you'll notice, if you do hide it, it does let you know and warns you that by hiding a slide, you're disabling it from receiving updates. So if there's a new regulation or federal law with regard to unplanned time off in this instance, you won't get those updates. So you'll be responsible for maintaining that information for your practice. So just be careful which slides you hide, and but just know that you can if the information truly isn't relevant to your practice. But we're going to go ahead and leave that content in, so if it looks good, then you can just hit continue or close. And once you come back to the modules, you can see once you've answered all the questions, that red setup link does disappear. Now we want to actually view the slides for the HR training, and we can do this in any course, but we'll just look at HR. So if you click on the actual title, that will bring you to the overview of that training and all of the slides. So from here you could click on any slide that you'd want to add additional content to or customize. You'll notice there's some symbols here, some icons to the left of some of these slides, and at the bottom, if you're curious what those icons refer to, there's a legend. So if you ever see a red box, that's a slide that requires additional content. So that's one of those setup questions. The gray box is a slide we recommend you add some customized information to. You don't have to, but we recommend you do. If you see the green check mark, which we saw here, that means you've answered one of the setup questions. So that's one of the setup slides that you've already completed. And then if you see a blue N, that's a new slide, which we'll be talking about later. Or a gray H is a hidden slide. So that's if you've ever hidden a slide, if you want to just very quickly find and navigate to one of those slides, you could see that. So for example, let's just say we wanted to hide slide 3. We click hide slide by clicking on it. And then when we click back over here on the overview tab, we go down to slide 3, you can see it's grayed out. So that kind of quickly shows you which slides are hidden and which aren't. So first thing we're going to do is talk about adding a new slide. You can see there's an Add New Slide button at the top or over here on the left under New. When you add a slide, you just simply have to give it a title. The title does not appear in the actual slide. It's just a marker, a reference for you to find it in the overview of all the other slides. And once you create the title, though, you'll see there's a series of tabs up at the top for the test slide or for the new slides you've created. The first one is the content. Here you can put in your text. So we're just going to put in some text here. Bullet points, another bullet point. So you can put this in. Once you've got your text in, there is some formatting options up here. You can bold and underline and italicize. But we do have some formatting already pre-made that if you want to make it match our current training, if you're just adding to one of our courses. So if you click on the line that you want to format, or you can highlight, either way, but you just need to be on that line. Heading number 1 is our standard heading, our top heading. So we're going to make this heading 1. So it's a larger font size. And subheading, if you want to put a subheading, we usually use heading 3 just so there's a decent enough difference between the two. Bullet points, obviously that's pretty straightforward. You can see you could also add a hyperlink in here as well. We're going to be covering that in a future tutorial, but for those that are familiar with doing hyperlinks, they can do that. Otherwise, we'll cover that later. And then if everything looks good, you can just click Save. There's other options up here. You can change the font colors of some of these information. Let's go ahead and actually center. We'll go ahead and center the heading there too. So we'll save that. And then over here, we're going to click Preview, the furthest right tab. And this allows us to kind of view it, see how it looks. If we like it, great, we can just move on. If we want to change it, we can click back on Content and change it. Now you'll see there's some other tabs up here at the top. The Settings tab, again, if we want to retitle it, we can. We can also make this a quiz, which we're going to do here in just a moment. You also have 4 different templates. Now the default template is that blue background, which you just saw. The important template, which we're going to change because we're going to change this into a quiz here in just a second, is a red background, or you've got white and tan. So you've got these 4 different templates available, and we're going to make this a quiz. Right? Well, first we'll save this so you can see what it does. So if you click on Preview, now you've got the red background here. All right, and let's also add a picture first too. So let's go ahead and if we click on Media, this is where you can import a picture. So we're going to just click on Choose File, and that will open up your access to your computer so you can download a picture. Now the pictures have to be in a JPEG format or any kind of standard picture format. It won't allow you to upload like a PDF or a Word document. It actually has to be in a picture format. But once you have the picture, you can click on it and then click Upload. And you can upload as many pictures as you want. You can upload another one. They just default to the right-hand side here so you can see the picture. But if you uploaded another picture, it would be just below that one, and you could have several pictures uploaded there. So if you're happy with the picture, we'll leave that there. There is a video tab. We're going to cover this in another tutorial because there's a lot of information that goes along with it. But we can embed video in this, and there's a player that appears in the slide, in the actual slide itself so that they can watch the video. The Target tab, if you want to just have this slide appear for management, or maybe you just want the slide to appear for just your standard employees, you can select who you want to view this slide, but for the majority of the time it's going to be everyone that you want to see your information. So now let's make this a quiz. So we're going to enable quiz on the Settings tab and click Save. And once you do that, you'll see there's a new tab here called Quiz that pops up. And what that does is it allows you to type in your quiz question. So we can just put in who do I contact to change my address, since we're talking about HR here. So once you've got your question, you can move down to options. These would be the possible responses. So we could put, Dr. Smith. You can make it generic and say contact the receptionist, or practice manager. You could put in a silly response like contact your pet. However you want to make it funny for your practice, kind of lighthearted. When you get to the answer, you just want to make sure it matches the correct answer. So you just simply click on I usually highlight and copy, and then I just paste it down to the correct one here. Now the hint would be if you want there to be a hint. You don't have to, but let's say we want a hint, and we could just say, it could be something as simple as guess again, or you could put in a more specific hint if you want to re-educate them on something if they aren't getting the question right. You could say, remember, and then put in the information you want to remind them about. But once it looks correct, you can click Save, and then you definitely want to test it. So if you click over on the preview, you can see we've got all the same information that we had on our content, which you can completely remove if you just want it to be a quiz slide. But after the content is there, then you get down to the quiz here. So it says, who do I contact to change my address? If they get the question wrong, it says incorrect, and it says guess again. And once they get the question right, then it says correct, and then that allows them to move on to the next slide. So let's say we don't want this content in there. We want this to just be a quiz. So let's remove this. So we can go ahead and remove that and hit save. Well, actually, let's put in test quiz. You'll want to put in some title, whatever the title is for the quiz. So we just hit save and then click preview. So we've got our test quiz question here, and you can test it again, and it looks like it's working perfectly. So that is the options and the tabs available for creating your own quiz. Now let's place the quiz into the training. So if we click Overview, all of the new slides that you add, they default down at the very bottom of the training. So it's down here, the very last slide. Let's say we want this to be the last quiz question. So we're going to go ahead and make this slide 43, and then we can go ahead and reorder the existing 43 and hit update, and that now puts that as the very last quiz question. We could rename that and retitle it, test quiz, or whatever you want to title it so it's familiar to you. But you do see the blue end, so now you can see if you ever come back in here very quickly, you could find one of your slides that you created, and you also have the option to delete it. So if we didn't want it, we can just click delete, and it does warn you, are you sure you want to delete it? Because once you do, you cannot retrieve that information. But we're going to go ahead and say OK. So we're going to remove that, and it has been removed. So that is how you add a new slide and some of the features you can do on that new slide. The final thing we want to cover today is the settings. Under settings, for the entire training, you can retitle your training course. You can change the repeat cycle either once, just a one-time training, or they can recur yearly. The target, again, is who you want to see the training. Generally, you want all positions to see the training. The certificate, if you want to change your certificate language, you can do so as well. And then the offices tab, if you do have multiple offices, you can select which offices. Maybe this training is only applicable to one office. You can uncheck the other offices. Or if you want to give access to this training to all offices, just make sure those boxes are checked. But other than that, again, this information, since we'd made these changes at the account level, they'll now all filter down to the offices. If you make it at the office level, it will be just applicable to that office. If you ever have any questions, please contact us at support@healthcarecompliancepros.com, or you can contact us at our 800 number as well. Thanks.